Okay, my scambaiting persona Merton Snurden has been receiving some enticing offers of huge wealth just lately, such as this one. Time to go scambaiting again. So advance fee scams via email very often start with a story just like this one. I want to transfer an abandoned sum of 8.5 million USD to your account. 50% will be for you. No risk involved. Contact me for more details. Now, all of this episode happened in the mailbox of bad boy Merton Snurden, but to avoid developing a case of Cockney neck, I'll be reading most of it in my own voice. So often I just play the scam as it's presented, but this time we're going to try something different and quite specific. That is rejecting the scam scenario that's presented by the scammer and imposing our own. So I said, does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy fund that I was trying to recover? The scammer replied with possibly a completely automated standard response. We won't read it in full, but a few highlights include, I found you through the internet when I was looking for help, and my God directed me to you. I was reading my emails from the office of the Reverend Father, whom gave us twice in a day to check our mails and the refugee. Yes, I am thoroughly the daughter of the late Libya president. Please help me. I will give any proof you want. Well, that's a relief. I thought for a moment this person might be only slightly his daughter, but thoroughly his daughter is much better. Anyway, I want us to finish this transaction within 1 or 2 weeks. All I need from you is for you to send me your account information, which I will use to draft an application to the bank where the money is, so that it will be very easy to effect transfer the funds without much question, okay? So the bank director of the International Finance Bank is apparently emailing me from a refugee camp in Burkina Faso. Yeah, that all checks out. Now, it's tempting to ask for some proof that this scammer is indeed thoroughly the daughter of Gaddafi, but remember, we're playing my game, not theirs. And anyway, my question had not been answered, so I repeated, is this related to the John Warosa Legacy? The scammer said no, late Gaddafi. I said, oh, okay, I'm only interested in trying to recover the John Warosa Legacy Fund. But undeterred, the scammer said, yes, please contact the bank and follow up the bank advice. Then the fake bank emailed me to say, we, all the leaders of the United Bank for Africa, want to let you know that the basis of the meeting held today in accordance with the new regulatory policy in the banking system, all the leaders decided to pay you with DHL ATM Visa card and deliver the deposit to your country. Process the ATM Visa card to your country. It will cost €580 to process your 8.5 million USD to your country. You're responsible for sending it by Western Union or MoneyGram or Ria Transfer. You can see after 7 days if the payment is not made within the next 72 hours, it will be cancelled. So I said, first you must tell me if this is related to the John Warosa Legacy Fund. They replied, sir, we the management have got to the root of the fund. I say yes. You have to be fast about it. By next month, all the abandoned fund that in our custody will be taking to the Treasury account as unclaimed bill. Okay, at last we're getting somewhere. What next? The fake bank said, thank you for your mail. Please, as soon as we the management confirm the payment, by Monday your fund will arrive in your country. All you need to do right now, send your full direct house information where you want the ATM Visa card worth 8.5 million USD to go. We are waiting. Send it along with the payment immediately. I said, can you confirm that the consignment box is also intact and still in storage? There is 8.5 million in Barosa's frozen account, plus a consignment box of cash disguised as inconspicuous gold bars for security. They said, everything is intact as soon as you send the processing fees. And almost as if they knew the vast number of scam emails I get, they followed up with, please sir, make sure this is the only bank UBA that you will contact. If not, you will lose it. All you need to do right now, go to the nearest Western Union or MoneyGram, send the fees in the next 72 hours. Your consignment will arrive in your doorstep. And we the management have made arrangement of your fund to move to you as soon as the payment of €580 is confirmed. Your ATM Visa card loaded with the sum of 8.5 million as well will ship it to your doorstep. I said, I don't have a doorstep. How's that going to work? They said, please sir, send your full details of your house and passport. I replied, I told you I don't have a doorstep, so I can't see how you're going to make this work. They answered, please can you send your passport? I said, what's the point of sending it if you won't be able to deliver? They promised, we the management will deliver. I asked, where will you deliver it? They said, yes, I do. Then, yes, I do. Just send the fees on your passport. I replied, that's not an answer. To what place will you deliver it? They said, what do you mean? Where do you stay? I said, I live in a house. They replied, good. Send me the house address. Simple. I said, okay. But you said something about a doorstep. They shouted, it mean where you live. Please, I am very busy in the office now. As soon as you send what we'll request from you, the process will start. Remaining perfectly calm, I said, as I explained earlier though, I don't have a doorstep. Clearly not remaining perfectly calm, they replied, okay, your house. I responded, I'm thinking I might get one of the other contacts to handle this. Because while this conversation had been ongoing, another scam email, also claiming to be UBA, had come in. You don't seem to know left from right. The scammer said, you don't know your left and right. I replied, wow. I thought perhaps I was dealing with an adult, but it seems you must be a small boy. They answered, "Sir, look who I am," and attached a very obviously fake passport. I asked, "Is that your father's fake passport?" Then, in an email addressed to both fake UBA scammers, I just said, "Okay." The original fake UBA scammer said, "Please don't you ever communicate with that email." I replied to both of them, "Why not? It's someone else from your bank, right?" The second fake UBA bank replied with a standard scam opener, promising me a Visa ATM card worth $80,000 and asking for my personal details. You know, the sort of personal details you should never share with a stranger on the internet. I asked, "Is this John Warosa's card?" They replied, "Your Visa card's here with us at the office, compensated to you from Mrs. Kristalina Georgieva, the managing director and chairwoman of the International Monetary Fund." I asked, "So not John Warosa?" They said, "No, it's not." I said, "Sorry to have wasted your time. I'm trying to retrieve the John Warosa Legacy Fund." And that was the end of that. Meanwhile, a very large number of other scammers were lining up to talk to me. Most of these went nowhere at all, but I'll run through a few of them now. To try to maintain clarity, I'll present conversations in threads, so time and date stamps might appear to jump around a bit. Morris Ball said, "Please accept my apologies. I do not intend to invade your privacy. I wrote to you earlier, but no answer. In my first post, I told you about my late client's untimely death. I received several letters from his bank where he made a deposit of $7.5 million. I asked, "Does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy Fund I was trying to recover?" Martin Kofi Adu said, "I write to solicit for your assistance in a business proposal. Can you handle 87 million USD for a contract investment fund deposited?" I asked, "Does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy Fund I was trying to recover?" Al Idris Akim Uta, an active banker, said he saw my email address while browsing through the bank DTC screen in his office yesterday. Now he's in a better position to transfer about 8.3 million US dollars into a foreign account. I asked, "Does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy Fund I was trying to recover?" Paul Williams, or possibly Freedy Blay, said, "I am Barrister Paul Williams, and my purpose of contacting you is for your consent and or help to secure and claim the funds left behind by my late client to avoid its confiscation or declaration as non-serviceable by the bank. The fund is valued at $14.5 million. I asked, "Does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy Fund I was trying to recover?" Susie A. Serre from the United States of America had an important issue to discuss with me. I asked, "Does this relate to the John Warosa Legacy Fund I was trying to recover?" Jennifer Peace said, "It is my pleasure meeting you. I hope all is well with you. How are you enjoying your day?" I said, "Hi there." She said, "Thanks for your kind response, and as a matter of fact, I'm very happy to read your mail. However, I really want to establish a true relationship that may lead into a business partner or something else. It is my pleasure meeting you. I hope all is well with you, and how are you enjoying your day? As I told you earlier, in my previous letter on the site, my name is Jennifer Peace. I am 40 years, single, never married before. I am US military officer, currently in Libya now, and I will like to get acquainted with you. I am loving, honest and caring person with a good sense of humour. I enjoy meeting new people and knowing their way of life. I enjoy watching the sea waves and the beauty of the mountains and everything that nature has to offer." Well, that's nice. "My dear, I want you to know that we are being attacked by insurgents every day and car bombs, and during one of our rescue missions we came across a safe box that contained a huge amount of money that belongs to the supporters of the overthrow government of Libya." I asked, "Do you happen to know if the safe was the property of John Warosa? I am interested in recovering the John Warosa legacy." The scammer said, "The fund is from the rebels here in Libya. I've told you this before in my last letter." I said, "So not the John Warosa legacy?" She said, "Yes, of course." I asked, "Do you mean yes it is or yes it isn't?" She said, "My dear, I meant yes." I said, "Okay," and left it there. Mr. Mohammed Shamek wrote with a business proposal so urgent that there was no time to type spaces between the words "urgent business proposal." To say, "Hi friend, I'm a bank director of the International Finance Bank PLC. I want to transfer an abandoned sum of 8.5 million USD into your account. 50% will be for you. No risk involved." I said, 8.5 million? Is this the John Warosa legacy that I've been trying to recover? The scammer had a story about the deceased estate of Mr. Christian Eich, who died in a plane crash with his entire family on their way to summer holiday. I replied, "I've never heard of this person. I'm only interested in recovering the John Warosa Legacy Fund." He said, "Yes, that's why I contact you. Have you heard from the bank what is going on?" I said, or rather, Merton said, "I think you've got your wires crossed. I never heard of this Christian Eich geezer. I'm looking for John Warosa." He said, "Yes." So I said, "Oh, that's great news. What happens next?" He answered, "Please, you have to send your information and the processing fees." I said, "Okay." He said, "How much do you have now to processing it?" I said, "Okay." And it turns out the just say okay method wasn't going to work. He dumped me. Barrister Mrs. Vivian Gary from Italy, because that's an Italian name, wrote to say, "I am Barrister Mrs. Vivian Gary from Italy, a personal lawyer to the late Mr. Alexander Snurden, national of supposedly your country, who lived and operated his business in Lomé, Togo. Regrettably, he died on the 25th of December 2013 with his entire family in a plane crash. There's a lot of that about. As his lawyer, I was contacted and all necessary burial arrangements were made, so the remains of his family were buried in the public cemetery in Lomé, Togo. Since then, I have made several unsuccessful inquiries to locate any of his blood or extended relations. After all the efforts failed, I decided to contact you because your name incidentally coincides with the deceased. Perhaps you may not be related to him biologically, but it behooves us to use this opportunity to claim his savings with a bank there in Lomé, Togo. Since I could not locate any of his relatives, either dead or alive, his bank issued a notice to me to provide the deceased beneficiary or have his fixed deposit of $10.5 million confiscated in accordance with provision of all unclaimed deposits in Togo over 6 years. I said, I think there's been some mix-up. I'm trying to recover the John Warosa Legacy Fund, not this Alexander Snurden thing. Mrs. Isabella Ferreira wrote to say, my husband died as a result of brief illness called heart attack. I think I might have heard of that. While he was coming back from ASA new location on his project inspection on Saturday 10th of December 2008. Before his death, as a result of our joint account venture, we have $5.4 million in our fixed deposit account. In Philippines, I was brought up as an orphan and was married to my late husband for 15 years without a child and am of age. I am 54 years now and am suffering from kidney infection and long-time cancer of the lungs, which has partially affected my brain, and from all indication my condition is really deteriorating. So Isabella wanted someone to inherit her huge fortune, someone who will use this fund to help the Motherless Babies Orphanage charity organisation and less privileged ones. I answered, I noticed you did not mention John Warosa at all in your email. Was this intentional? George Sheringham said he was mandated by the United Nations Debts Reconciliation Panel in conjunction with the Federal Executive Council on Debts Reconciliation and Implementation Panel on Contract Inheritance Compensation Funds to complete the entire unpaid Contract Inheritance Lottery Fund. You are required as a matter of urgency to reconfirm your information, including your name, phone number, and your address for verification and immediate payment within 3 bank working days. To this effect, a sum of $4.5 million has been approved to you. I replied, please confirm if this is the John Warosa Legacy. He said, no sir, this is a different fund. We expect to hear back from you with the required information as to enable us to proceed to the next stage of this transaction. I said, a different fund's no use to me. I need to reclaim the John Warosa Legacy Fund. Sean Adams, Director, or maybe just Inspection Officer, wrote to me to say, I am Sean Adams, Director, Inspection Unit, United Nations Inspection Agent in JFK Airport, New York. We are rounding up for the last quarter of the auditing. All abandoned consignment in US airports are being transferred to our facilities here for inspection and confiscation. During our investigation, I discovered an abandoned shipment on your name, which was transferred to our facility here in New York, and when scanned it revealed an undisclosed items in a metal trunk box. The consignment was abandoned because the content was not properly declared by the consignee, rather it was declared as personal effect to avoid diversion by the diplomatic agent. Also the diplomat's inability to pay for non-inspection fees. On my assumption, the boxes will contain gold and funds, and the consignment is still left in storage house till today through a courier dispatch service. I said, I think this is John Warosa's box. It contains bundles of money disguised as gold bars in order to distract anyone who might think it's valuable. We'll look at what happened next in a moment after this short break to answer one of your frequently asked questions. Today's question is, why don't you tell them to deduct the fee from the prize? This question appears in 2 forms. On the one hand, it's a sort of smarty-pants way of observing that the obvious scam is obvious. Someone wants to give me a fat stack of cash that they have in their possession, but they want me to give them money first. Why wouldn't they just deduct the fees from the winnings? Now, there's nothing wrong with smarty-pants observations. In fact, I'd say they're one of the primary sources of comedy and scambaiting. And you guys are right. If it was genuine, why wouldn't they just deduct the fees? They would. They don't because it's not genuine. You're right. Which leads me on to the second form of this question, and I'm not going to show anyone's comment for this one to avoid embarrassing them, but I swear that some people who ask this question are labouring under the mistaken assumption that there's some sort of trick or method that can be used to make the scammers part with millions of dollars. And this worries me. They don't have the money. The money is fiction. They're lying to try to get people to send them money. They don't deduct the fee from the prize because there is no prize. Because it's a scam. And sometimes I do actually tell them to deduct the fees from the sum just to be awkward, but really as a scambaiting tactic this is risky. It generally just brings about the end of the conversation. Anyway, let's get back to the scambaiting. So the UN at JFK had a mysterious and very heavy box for me, and I had said that I thought it was John Warosa's box. They said, I want to deliver the box to you. You are actually chosen to claim the box. What you have to do is just simple. I will direct you on the information you would need to send about yourself to change the papers to your name. It can be dispatched to your location under the UN authorities. I asked, is it Warosa's box? They said, there was no name of the box, only your contact email and a cell phone number that's not going through. I replied, are you saying someone tried to email the box to me? They said, someone tried mailing this box to you, but both the name of the sender is not disclosed because it's been quite a long time. The United Nations authorities has approved the release of all sized shipments, packaged consignments. Please, if I may ask, where do you live? We also need your response to know that you're serious to receive this box. Let the arrangements on how to dispatch this box to you. I asked what's the address they tried mailing it to. They replied, the address where the shipment is meant to be sent was not disclosed due to the it has been a long time and the complete paperwork of the shipment can't be found, but was able to find your email attached to the shipment. I said, okay, I think this must be the box of John Warosa. They answered, I don't think so, because there was no name and no address, only your email contact. None of your valuable details was disclosed, only your emailing address. There was no home address, no cell phone numbers. I must inform you that you will need to contact the UN Delivery Department for further verification. Once the verification is done, you will then need to provide your details to ship the box to you through a UN official dispatch agent. So I said, oh, if it's not the box of John Warosa, I'd better leave it be. They said, who's John Warosa? And actually, that's quite a good question. In case you're new here and wondering who the heck is John Warosa and why is he sometimes John Barosa, it all comes from an earlier video where a scammer tried to explain away the fact that he'd mistyped his own fake name by inventing a story about working in the same office as someone else with a name that only differs by one letter. Later on, I created my own fake email account in the name of Mr. Barrister John Warosa to annoy other scammers in a two-pronged attack, and boy did that work. Links to these episodes are in the cards and the video description. I said, John Warosa was the former owner of the box, except it sounds like you have a different box. They wrote, it might actually be his, but I was trying to let you know that there was no details of his name. But if I may ask, are you related to this John? Is John Warosa from the United States, US? You know, the United States. I said, I think he has been there. He was quite a well-travelled character. They explained, it's not a different box, it's the same, okay, because the content is very huge and this worth a huge lot. I said, okay, that does sound like it could be the same box. It contained bundles of cash disguised as gold bars. They confirmed, I think you're quite correct because that's the exact content in the box. I need to know who's claiming the box. Will you do that on his behalf? I asked, have you seen inside the box? You actually have it right there. They replied, yes, I have it in my care. I am the operating manager in charge of all the sized goods box and consignments. Lot of money inside the box, but I don't think I know the exact amount. I said, okay, what's next? They replied, you are advised to contact our correspondent storage department for the delivery, Merton Snurden, with the information below. I said, how can your correspondent have the same name as me? They answered, you misunderstood the mail. You're the one being referred to with your name. It's not the name of the correspondence, okay? Here is the email address of the correspondence where you should contact for further information on the delivery of the box. So I wrote to that email address saying, I need you to send me the box of John Warosa. They replied saying, I must inform you now that if we have to proceed with the delivery of the box, you must give us full details which would be needed for the shipment. You know, the sort of details you should never share with a stranger on the internet. So I asked, the previous contact said this would be delivered to my doorstep, is that right? They said, we assure you that the box will be delivered to your doorstep depending on your capability to receive this box as soon as possible. Where do you live and the country where the box will be delivered to? I replied, but as I explained, actually it was to a different scammer, but no matter, I don't have a doorstep. That threw them. They said, I don't get your last email. What exactly are you talking about? You have to be very clear and serious so we know how to help. I replied, I'm completely serious. I don't have a doorstep, so how are you going to deliver? With some sense of urgency now, the scammer came back with, you're advised to reply us with the details needed. That's first part. Secondly, if you don't want the delivery that way, we could have an agent that would be sent along with the box. The agent would call you once he arrives at the airport, which would be based on your location at the moment. It's the reason why you need to feed us with the details needed below. Whatever you're doing about this has to be done as soon as possible. I said, why is this so urgent? They said, you must know that no one's trying to pressure you here. Try to understand that if this box doesn't get to leave this facility to you in 7 working days from now, if it's not been dispatched, then I'm afraid there's nothing anyone can do about it. Even with the amount of content inside the box, it's for your own good as time is no longer on our side. That is why we're making sure all boxes and shipments are being dispatched to their expected locations. I said, that does sound a bit like pressure, even though you say it's not. They said, you have to click the below attachment for the form you're meant to print out and fill. Make sure you read carefully and fill in your details. You have to send it back to us once that is done. We proceed with the delivery of the box. The form was just some generic blank thing. No effort or craft at all. Must try harder. I said, this form says absolutely nothing about the John Warosa Legacy. I'm not signing a blank document. The scammer tried to be condescending and replied, this is quite embarrassing. After telling you previously there was no documentation or paperwork for the box of John Warosa, I'm sorry if you said you're not filling in the form, then it's no one's fault. The United Nations would know how to share everything inside the box to the less privileged. I said, I'm sorry that you were embarrassed by sending an irrelevant form, but I'm a patient man and I will not hold this failure against you. Please send the relevant document as soon as you can. Losing patience now, the scammer said, "Are you trying to teach us our job, that you now ask for another thing when you have been given the form you're asked to fill for the delivery of the box? Please beware, we won't be returning any email for the next 2 hours till Monday morning." Well, we'll see about that. You just fill the form. The information that will be written down there is the information that will be used to deliver the box to you, as we would have an agent assigned to hand it over to you, which after you're done filling the form and every other thing you've been asked to do, we would send you his ID card, also name and phone number, so you will always be in communication with him. I replied, "Like I said, I'm not signing a blank document. I'm not an idiot. Provide some documentary evidence of the Warosa Legacy Fund and I will be happy to proceed. This should be a simple task for an adult. I assume you're not a small boy." It should be noted that we are by now way off the scammer's script, and instead of just pasting in their pre-written responses and templates, they're now having to read and understand and respond in detail to all of my nonsensical diversions, wasting a lot of their time. They replied, "Listen to me carefully. I don't know what you're calling a blank document. That's another insult again. No one is calling anyone an idiot here. I want you to know that you must fill the form or there's nothing working here. I can remember how many times you emailed about how would the box be delivered to you. Now you are to write down your details, which would be used, and also to get a documented paperwork for the box to avoid any custom issues. We can try to see if there would be any duplicate of the paperwork with the delivery company that shipped the box down here. If not found, then we're sorry, dear Mert." I responded, "Well, I'm not signing a delivery document that doesn't even state what's being delivered, and I'm not accepting delivery of valuables without a legal certificate of fund and mandate of transfer. Surely you know this, or are you new at the job? I have no idea what those documents would be, by the way. I just made them up. If you don't have the originals of these documents, you'll need to generate new documents and have them authenticated by a notary. Ask your superior if you don't understand this." So they promised, "We will send you a legalization affidavit of claim Title A Monday morning by 9:30. I said, "That's better, thank you. I will await this documentation." On Monday, they sent a document that was frankly a disappointment, attached to an email saying, "We're sorry for the late response. A technical issue came up which has to be fixed. You have to fill in the form below. Read very well and fill in your own part, and the court will fill the second phrase, which is meant for the judge that will stamp the form once you are done filling it." This document also makes no mention of the John Warosa legacy, but it does have a few interesting features. It claims to be from the British Crown Court, the principal attorney of which is apparently Adams Chambers, in the plural. Nearly every part of the address below has something wrong with it. And I'm not sure what this court service logo is, but also I think I'm right in saying a matter of inheritance and probate would not go before Crown Court. But at least they tried. I replied, "Many thanks for this document, but I think you forgot to attach the certificate of fund and manifest describing the John Warosa box." Their excuse was that the lawyer in charge of John Warosa case files and documentations can't be reached at the moment. It is actually the work of the lawyer working under the United Nations. But there is a lot of transformation over here. Also note that this files for this box of John Warosa is not in the system anymore, but I managed to find the certificate of ownership which indicates the name of the original owner of the box, which is John Warosa, date and time and the rest of it. That's also all I can find. You'll need to fill those forms with your details. Once the payment is done, we would have to process a change of ownership in your name and proceed with the delivery of the box. So I said, "Okay, please provide a copy of the certificate and we can proceed from there." And finally, at long last, they sent me the prize that I have been seeking, the fake certificate bearing the name of John Warosa, proof of the John Warosa legacy. Here it is. Let's just read through this low-resolution image in full. It says, "This is to clarify that John Warosa." And that appears to be the end of that sentence. This document clarified that John Warosa is legally appointed beneficiary of $1.4 million. That is being deposited into a 50-kilogram metallic sealed box, space 2 full stops. This authority is solicited and procured for him due to the recognition of a valid copy of the legal documents, space comma. The Supreme Judicial Court has today agreed on the agreement made on the said 50-kilogram sealed metallic box, space comma. For the evidence of ownership, the court has secured the agreement in your favour. This II day of July 2014. Notice this is a very valuable document, therefore we suggest you file it with your other valuable papers. Well, it certainly is, and I certainly will. I shall cherish this forever. So wasn't that lovely? I thought so, and I said so. And after the scammer tried to move things on to the next stage, which was of course the payment of fees, there was only one thing left to do. I said, "I had an inspired idea about this that came right out of the blue. Why don't you take this payment out of the funds in the John Warosa Legacy box?" And for some mysterious reason, that was pretty much the end of that conversation. Or so I believed, but by the time I had finished putting this video together, the scammer had come back with more anger, frustration, and scamminess. So the good news is there will be more of this story to tell as soon as that's had a chance to play out. So I hope that's been fun. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.